And we're back with part 2 of Harnessing Harmony. Welcome, welcome. And for those of you who are now tuning in, just a quick recap. We talked about what does divine harmony look like in our own life? How can we cultivate deeper, more meaningful relationships with ourselves and others? And now we're going into part 2. So
Okay.
sorry, leave the link below if you guys want to check out part 1
Awesome.
and let's dive.
Wonderful.
So, Casey, are you ready?
Yes, Ali, I am so ready.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes. So beautiful. Question number 1 in part
Okay.
2.
Yes.
What parts of yourself need more love and forgiveness and why?
Such a beautiful question. Um, and when I thought about this, when I was reflecting on this question prior, um, you know, I'm in such a great space that my body at first, my mind at first was like, "There's nothing. You're doing a great job," you know. But I think, to that point, I think my mind and my brain need a little bit more love right now. And I say that because I am in a I'm at a place in my life where I have been being called to connect with my body. And there was this phrase coined by a wonderful mystic, a wonderful spiritualist by the name of Rashida Ahmed. And she says, living a sensual and a sensational life. And I am on that journey of tapping into my senses and living sensually without the mainstream connotation that sensuality immediately equals sex and sexuality, but really like, how do I live a life where I am tapped in and connected to all of my senses, all of my God-given beautiful senses that, for me as an able-bodied individual that work, and I'm grateful and I give thanks, right? Because some people don't have even all senses, and even they are able to live a sensual and a sensational life. And so as I'm on this path, yes, as I'm on this path in connecting with my body, I'm finding that I'm giving my mind, my thoughts, my brain function a hard time because I'm digging at myself like, why aren't you already connected to varying parts of your body? Why don't you already feel connected? Or if I'm in a practice of grounding or in a meditative practice or in a spirit practice, whatever it might look like, you know, being frustrated with myself if I allow myself to wander with my thoughts for a little bit. And so when you ask that question, after I moved through the like, no, everything's perfect, nothing to see here, I'm recognizing that I can have both. And again, we serve a God of abundance. I can have an active, organizational, discerning brain that runs and feeds me wisdom and connects my beliefs and my thoughts to my body and sensations. And I can also quiet the mind chatter and invite the body to the conversation instead of villainizing my mind and my brain function. So, to answer your question, I'm in a space right now where my crown chakra, where the beautiful chakra that holds the brain, the mind, the first eye chakra as well, is in need of a little bit more love and a little bit more forgiveness because ultimately, the intention for the function is for my wellness, for my greatest good, for my highest benefit. And I'm so happy that my brain and my thoughts love me so much that they want to do what they can, what they know how to do to get me going, to get me moving. So, yeah. What about
Oh,
yourself?
I want to go to the parts of myself, like as you're talking as well with the body and connecting and
Mm,
I think this goes back to go like being able to come to peace with your shadow self.
Okay.
I think that this question is where we talk about shadow work, because
Mm-hmm.
being able to look at yourself and look at yourself really, like you said, the man in the mirror, and
Mm,
say, what do you need? You know, like sometimes as I'll go into people pleasing, right? Like being a people,
mm-hmm.
like, what do you need? Like, how can I help? What like you're in a space and you're like, but sometimes we forget to ask, what do I need right
Mm-hmm.
now?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
I create that love, again going back to the question of giving yourself the love that you need in order to share more love. So for
Mm-hmm.
myself, I feel like my body, I need to give more love to my body.
Mm,
Even though, and this is where I've been tugging a bit, like being a health coach and a life coach. And going through health coaching, y'all, I realized like it was hard. It was hard to just do the things like cut out sugar, cut out meat. Like, I did a lot of those things, eat healthy. And then, but it created this too restrictive way of living for a while
mm,
that I started to project it on other people, like my family, my friends. And I'm like, don't eat that. Like, and
mm,
I'm like, oh my gosh, Aliana, chill. And so I
mm,
started to resent, I think, myself.
mm,
And then I went the extreme. Like, I'm just like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, sorry, my language. I'm just like, I can eat a burger today. I can eat whatever, sweets, whatever,
mm,
like everything in
mm,
balance, everything in balance.
mm,
Then I started gaining weight again. Like, I went from losing my 20 pounds to gaining it back, like in a summertime. And
mm,
I think that's something I really need to forgive myself for, and also
mm.
accept myself and my body at this stage of my life. And I'm a super body positive person. When I'm dancing, I'm all about woman empowerment. When I'm teaching, I'm all about feeling good in your own skin. And I'm being
Mm.
real with you guys right now that I have these moments of insecurities. And I realize
Yes.
that I don't love my body. When I don't, like, your body holds wisdom. And the way you speak to your body as well results in how your body looks. Like, you can
Yes.
be eating all the right things, drinking the water, but if you keep looking in the mirror, and then you're just like, oh my God, I'm so bad. Oh my God. Like whatever you're nitpicking about your body feels that. Your body knows
Yes.
that. It's like a mother shaming a parent, I'll just say parent shaming their child of like, Caribbean people love to be like, how you looking so thick so, oh gosh, you're looking so
Mm-hmm.
thick. It's like never in between. It's like
Yeah, it's never enough. It's never, yeah.
it's never enough. So I think when it comes to health, some of us may be in that I'm never even gonna be enough, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think it's important to give that love to yourself, the love that like other people are not giving you. So, like for example, moving back in with my grandmother, again, different generations, and she'll be like, "Oh my God, Aliana, you're not eating right, right?" And I'm just being real with y'all, and I'm
Mm.
like, "What do you mean I'm not eating right?" She's like, I wake up maybe and I don't eat till after lunch, and for one, and I think this is something I took away from health coaching as well, as what works for one person doesn't work for everybody. And you
Right.
are the best. I mean, they say listen to your body, and you are the best experiment that you can like experiment on your body. Listen to your body, because doctors can tell you go on this diet, do that, but you may be allergic to those things. And so it's being able to do a trial and error
Mm-hmm.
of what does my body need right now? Like asking your
Mm-hmm.
body, what do I need right now? And is it
Mm.
that I need dance? Like I tried to dance yesterday. My body's on my monthly. It's like, no, she's not trying to dance. She
Mm-hmm.
needs stretching. My entire body, my lower back is like hurting when I tell
Mm.
you. So then is it that I'm not feeling safe in my body? Is it that I'm not feeling like I am grounded? Like, how can I ground myself right now?
Mm-hmm.
Is what,
Mm-hmm.
like, listening to those pains and those aches is loving, is giving more love. Like, instead of
Ashe.
just, "Let me pop a pill. Let me just,"
I say.
like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like that, like sit with it, right? Look
Yes.
at yourself naked in the mirror. Like I think that's a big thing too. Looking at yourself and like saying what do you love about your body right now? What is
Mm-hmm.
beautiful? And also forgiving yourself. I think what parts of yourself need to be like forgiving myself for bashing myself, in the past, like saying
Mm-hmm.
those really rude, mean words of oh my God, I'm so fat. Like, oh gosh, hush your mouth. Like, because there's someone out there feeling worse than you and
Mm,
being grateful for how you show up right now, because every single part of you, every phase of you is beautiful, and being
mm,
able to forgive parts of myself that I need to forgive is my financial history, and I'm being real with that. And that's something I need to also forgive myself for my younger self and the mistakes I made because I didn't know then. That's why I, in
mm,
part one, brought that up out of experience.
mm,
And why is it important to give these parts of yourself love and forgiveness? Because that is the basic functioning of the root chakra, our
mm,
and our connection to our body and this
mm,
earth, and being able to have support, being able to live. I think that's something that's very important. If you're out there right now and you're living in fight or flight, how can you
mm,
give yourself more love, and how can you forgive yourself for whatever is you don't know, whatever is you
mm,
didn't then, but you know now? And why is
mhm.
that important? Because we need to move through this in our life lesson and our plan that God has so beautifully carved out for us. And we also chose to learn in this lifetime.
Yes, yes, yes.
So,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for uplifting your truth, and for sharing such a relatable experience with all who are tapped in. And I think, you know, what you mentioned towards the end there about why it's important, and connecting that love and that forgiveness to the root chakra and kind of like the grounding core of our bodies and our connection with the world around us. I also would like to add that it's important to love and forgive these parts of ourselves because only from a place of love is transformation possible. And transformation is ultimately what you desire. You're not going to beat yourself into change. You need to
another
love yourself through change.
Another thing I want to add is like I met, okay, my
Mm,
boyfriend's mother. She is so much energy. Like she's
mm,
energy ball, like woman. And she
mm,
looks so like her skin's amazing, like her body's so lean. I'm like, woman, what are you doing? Because I need this
mm,
kind of like energy in my life. And she's like, I just cut out sugar. I was like, what?
mm,
Like I just cut out sugar because like sugar ages you. And
mm,
and ever since she said that, it's like, wow, sugar is like cocaine, a little
mm,
bit. It's so addictive.
mhm,
It's everything that you think it's not in, but it's in. And it
mm,
is a very big challenge to cut it out. So like even finding somebody to keep you accountable for the choices that you make when it comes to
mm,
your body, right?
mm. Ashe, ashe,
Being able
ashe.
to exercise in groups, being able to make that effort to ask a friend, hey, you want to go for a walk? Hey, you want to go to the beach? You want to go for a run? Like whatever it is that y'all are doing together, take a class together. I think that is very important, like to have
Mhm.
community to keep you accountable.
Ashe, ashe. Yeah. And like to expand that, beyond the example of forgiving and loving bodies, just extracting the wisdom that no matter what it is, no matter what parts of you need love and forgiveness, there are trusted tribe members that you can identify that and maybe you need to pray over it to get clarity and to get kind of like a seal of approval from the Most High God. But there will be at least one person. I pray that we all have at least one person in our lives that can hold us accountable, that can be that accountability partner, again, no matter what parts of you need that love and need that forgiveness. And for those of you who feel like you're alone, and those of you who feel like you don't have anyone, I uplift you in love and in prayer that you may do the inner work, because this is only temporary, and pray to attract soul tribe in your life so that you do have another being to depend on. And knowing that even though you don't have another human being to depend on, you always have God, you always have your angels, you always have your ancestors. And so perhaps your practice is leaning into those relationships and building an accountability partner dynamic with the divine, because I mean, I would choose that over a human. Humans are fallible, you know? If I ask God to keep me accountable, who knows the ways in which I would be held
I,
accountable, you know? There's limitless potential in that regard.
I agree. I agree. And I think God always sends you the right people at the right time when you need them.
Ashe,
It could be a stranger that
ashe,
you pass on the street one day and they just bring you
ashe.
that nugget of like encouragement for
Yes,
that moment to move
ashe,
forward. Like I think
ashe.
about like, going back to the relationship, the meaningful, deep relationship. Some of the most
Mm-hmm,
deep conversations I've had are with strangers that I meet
mm-hmm,
once and I never see them again. But
mm-hmm.
that is so beautiful that we live in a world where God can use anyone, anything to connect with you.
Ashe,
And
ashe, yes.
yeah, I feel good about that. I don't know about you, but I feel ready to move forward to the next
I feel
one.
ready. I feel
Uh,
ready. Yes.
and I get to me, I feel like that stream of consciousness was a little bit more breaking down for both of us. Both of
Mm,
us, there was a little bit of like, oh, wow, okay, like this is a challenging one, a little bit.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, for sure.
Uncomfortable to talk about these things. And I think the more that
Absolutely.
we have these conversations, it shows people like, oh, I'm not alone in this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's us that you have, guys, that this conversation is what you have to keep you accountable. Praise God that you found this.
Ashe,
So
ashe.
the next question, y'all, let's just take a deep breath in, a pause. Let's exhale. Inhaling love, exhaling, forgiving what's the past of ourselves. I love how deep Casey's breaths are, y'all. If y'all haven't felt yet, that just listen to those breaths and there you
That's
go.
true.
Oh, like for a second I was like, oh wow, like my inhale and exhale was not as yet. But it was a reminder to just take a little moment uh bath.
Mm,
So
mm,
yeah,
mm, mm.
inviting y'all to join us for this next question. And last
Ashe.
of the divine,
Yes.
what is one practice or tool you would share with someone who is looking to deepen their shadow work? What is
What is shadow work? That's a great question. Shadow work is, as you mentioned at the top of our conversation, so in part one, shadow work is uncovering, discovering, and learning about parts of yourself that you suppress, diminish, you believe are unfavorable, you don't like to interact with. So any parts of yourself that your fight or flight or your survival mode tries to keep under wraps. It's the parts of ourselves that we would sweep under the proverbial rug when we have guests around. It's the parts of ourselves, our shadows are the parts of ourselves that we do not present when getting to know people, when getting to know, when we are called to reveal ourselves in new environments. Some people go their entire lives without interacting harmoniously or lovingly with their shadow selves. Shadow work is a love filled choice. Shadow work is a declaration of love and self care. Shadow work is necessary for ascension. You cannot avoid shadow work if you desire deep within yourself to tap into your greatness. Shadow work is a lifetime commitment. You don't step into a shadow work room, step out healed. It will be a constant dance, a constant relationship. Um, Shadow
I
work
want to
is a relationship with yourself, with your full self. Go ahead.
And I want to just bring it back to the moon cycling. It's like that time when the
Mm,
moon comes around and all these
mm,
things come up that you're just like, why is this coming up, man? And feelings
mhm,
of chaos, of uncomfortability, of conflict, confusion. And it's funny that the words that with seeds, right? Like also brings clarity, connection, creativity, confidence,
Ashe.
right? Like which
Mhm. Which
side are you
wolf are you going to feed?
exactly? Which wolf are you going to feed?
Mm,
So, what is one practice or tool that you would share
mm,
with someone who is looking to deepen their shadow work? Um, I hope
mm.
I can expand on the moon. I want to
Go
say
ahead.
a huge practice and tool for me working with my shadow has been moon manifestation
Mm,
because working with the cycles of the moon, especially the full moon, I think was where I first started my journey with unraveling my shadow self and being like, oh, okay, there's a way that you can communicate with this. Oh, like every full moon, I need to release something. Like, oh, what do I need to release? Oh, what is that thing that I've been like? And it's always sometimes the same thing, and it's
mm,
constantly like chipping away years of this that
mm,
you've been experiencing and being able to work with your body, so I think
mm,
what is a big thing because when we move our body we're releasing energy, right?
mm,
And that stuck energy in our body wherever it is released when we move. So I think
mm,
working with that because I can recall times when I've done dance, I've done yoga, when I haven't moved my body for a very long time, tears just come running down my face after, and I'm like, what is that? Or a moment when someone has prayed over me when I haven't prayed for a very long time, when I felt lost, and that those tears come running down my face again. So that's like working with to me that's working with the shadow self of being able
mm,
to bring awareness to to the things that we may not always on the forefront of it's in our subconscious, like the
mhm,
place of subconscious, like thinking of that inner child, like that inner child that was on the playground and someone didn't want to play with them or they took away a toy or said something to them that was mean when they were younger. I think it's also working with your inner child and knowing that even though we're in grown bodies, as we grow and get older, there's still that part of ourselves, that little girl, that little boy in us that is like still experiencing the world for the first time.
mm. Yes, 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 yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. When you touched on movement, so actually, first, I want to acknowledge that the cycles of the moon and harnessing the power of the moon is it can be such a, how can I say this? It's almost like entry level friendly,
Yeah.
because the moon is reliable, right? And
No,
it
it's
means the same thing, it means the same thing every time. It's just the different energies at play. And that could be a great introduction to shadow work. And so I thank you for uplifting your personal practice with the moon. And I also want to thank you for uplifting movement. And it's interesting because my tool, which I'll share in a little bit, I would say that movement is almost like it's the final piece of the flow.
Mm.
Especially if you aren't someone who moves all the time. We give thanks, we thank God, and we uplift Ali and her energy because we can see what is possible when movement is a part of lifestyle, and that can be aspirational. But for some of us who don't move often, um, remembering and recalling that, just as Ali said, movement is what releases the stagnant energy from your body. So whether you're aware, whether it is in your conscious or your subconscious, moving can release that energy that you might want to release. And I'm going to take it a step further and say that movement is how, yes, it's how you release. It's also how you integrate into your new self. And so if there is another practice that you're employing with shadow work, perhaps, as I mentioned, sealing that practice with movement can be a great way to, okay, I have done this practice and these things have come up, and I'm going to release it with this energetic embodied somatic movement. And so, I thank you and I uplift you for sharing your tools. And the one tool I told myself, I'm going to keep this simple. I learned this tool from Psychology Today. I'm going to do my best to find the article so that I can share it with you, at least so you can share it in the show notes. But the exercise, it blew my mind when I came across it because I was doing some personal research on shadow work. And the exercise was as follows. Think about someone or a circumstance that annoyed you or frustrated you or that you didn't like. And we'll keep it simple and say, think about a person who wronged you and or someone who frustrates you or who annoys you, and write down the characteristics. Don't write their name. Just write
Mm.
down the characteristics of that individual that bother you, that you don't like, right? Once you have your list, write your name at the top of the paper.
Wow. Okay.
And then when you write your name at the top of the paper, go through every characteristic that you didn't like about that other person and scan yourself and say, well, how does that show up in me? And
Yeah.
that is a beautiful, I'm even getting like just a rush of warmth coming from my core up my back, in just like my cellular celebration of like, yes, someone needed to hear this. Someone needed this exercise, because often, let me rephrase, we love to say in the spiritual community, the beauty that you see in me is the beauty that is reflected in you, right? The
Uh-huh.
annoyances, the frustrations, the grievances that you see in me are the same frustrations, grievances, and annoyances that you carry within yourself. And this tool is my practical beginner tool for moving through shadow work. And with that said, because, and I want to finish this thought before you jump in, my love. With that said, it's going to be challenging. It's going to hurt. It's going to be uncomfortable. So I encourage you to be gentle. What that means is, do not force yourself to finish the exercise all at once. If you can, if your body cannot take it, take breaths, take cleansing breaths, put it down, go outside, get grounded, and return to it. You can return to it same day. You can return to it another day. You can return to it in a couple months' time. Take your time, but be curious, because on the other side of this releasing, just as you said earlier, Ali, is when you release, you create space for better to find itself, to find its way in. So really the resistance that you're feeling is just this big energetic boulder that needs to be moved to begin with. So take your time and listen to what your body needs as you do this exercise, because it will not be easy. It is not meant to be easy. Looking at yourself and looking at your perceived shortcomings will always evoke discomfort. And often when we feel discomfort, we automatically think that we then need to be critical or judgmental, when really in that discomfort, you're being invited to show yourself more love, show yourself more grace, and show yourself a lot more compassion than you have up until that point. And so
Mm.
that is my tool. to dive deeper into your shadow work journey. And I trust that it serves you well as it has served me. Ashe.
Mm, thank you so much, Casey, for sharing that. I really felt
Welcome.
that. I know that anybody else pause when you come upon this. If you reach this far,
Mm,
pause, go back to the beginning of that exercise, take time with it, do it in real time, like do it right now if you can, and see whatever comes up. And even if it's like just jotting down whatever comes to mind, because when I could say, like, recently I shared with you a situation with a person that I was like, why is this just not feeling right? And
mm,
I definitely am going to do this for myself. Another tool I want to just solidify is burning, like burning whatever it is, like after you write it down, inviting you all, if you feel called, to burn that piece of paper that you're going to write all
mm.
this stuff on, and like writing an affirmation statement, like I am ready to release, and da 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 da, and releasing it through the and watching it
Ashe.
burn. Watching that burn, it does something. It's like, ooh, seeing
Yeah.
something. So
The beauty of the flames, the beauty of the flame, the beauty of the destruction power of flames, and the abundance that it leaves in its wake. It's a
exactly.
beautiful thing. It's a beautiful
When
thing.
you
Yeah.
think about it as well, just in nature, like forest fires are necessary for rebirth, for growth, and
Mm-hmm.
that is part of the cycle. As much destruction as it causes, it is
Mm-hmm.
necessary.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I just want to give thanks again, and
Ashe.
love to say a little prayer for whoever is watching this right now.
Ashe.
I'm gonna invite us both to just take some deep breaths as we solidify all of these beautiful messages shared. Taking deep breath in through our nose, receiving all that was shared with us today, and as we exhale, releasing what no longer serves us. As we inhale love again, exhaling that forgiveness. Last one, inhaling ease in all of our relationships, and exhaling any tension that we may feel right now. Their divine, their God, their creator, to our sacred ancestors healed, to our divine light working team. We thank you so much for this day. We thank you for this conversation. We thank you for those tuning in, for our listeners. We thank you for giving us the confidence and the courage to share our voice. And we thank you for those who are listening in to do the same. Thank you for allowing us to experience this beautiful, beautiful life here on earth. Thank you for keeping us safe. Thank you for protecting us in every moment. And I pray that as we navigate this new moon in Libra, that we all continue to create and harness divine harmony within ourselves and the world around us. Amen. Thank you.
Ashe and amen. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is yet another wonderful conversation. If this is your first entry point to Limitless Conversations, Ali actually has a playlist of a prior conversation shared between her and I, if you want to check that out as well. One thing that came up for me, Ali, is just gratitude for creating this platform. Just as you shared, we are not, how can I put this? We are not the gatekeepers. We are solely just tapping into our courage and our confidence and our creativity and inviting ourselves to carve out space to have these conversations, but as you listen to this, as you know, take in the wisdom, I invite you to do the same. Have these conversations, whether they be recorded online, whatever or not. I invite you to have these conversations and see what these conversations can do for your life, what the wisdom that people have to share can do to transform your life. I know that a constant for many of us, collective consciousness souls, is just to live in alignment with our gifts and with our purpose and live a life that is agreeable and loving for not only us, but for those that we love, for our communities, and ultimately for the globe, for the collective consciousness. And so I know that there is a seed within you that desires to be seen. I know that there is a seed within you that desires to discover and uncover. And this is your sign to just take a leap. You are blessed. Take a leap and go for it. You are loved and you are supported in so many ways beyond your present understanding. And I'm inviting you to really understand the ways in which you are loved and supported in this life.
Oh, yes,
Ashe.
couldn't be any other way. And I just want to
Ashe.
remind everyone, like a little affirmation that I always say is, I am
Mm.
limitless. And
Ashe.
you know that you are. You are
Ashe.
limitless.
Ashe.
And I pray that as you continue to navigate this week, this year, this month, that you take this energy with you of grounding, of love, of forgiveness, and stay tuned. We will be having more conversations like this. Again, like I said before, Casey and I host every new moon a soulful session. Stay tuned. We'll have a separate video just on what that is, and I'll link it in the description below. In the meantime, stay blessed, stay in,
Ashe.
and continue to create a limitless life, y'all.
Ashe. Thank you so much, Ali, for this beautiful conversation and for this space. And thank you to you who have tuned in. If you are here up until this point, you are so loved. Thank you so much. Even if you're not here up until this point, you are so loved. And thank you so much.
I love
Okay.
you. I love you.
I love you. Ashe. Take
Yeah.
good care, beautiful people. Bye.